Hello, fourth graders, and welcome to another week. It is Monday, April 20th. You can tell it's a Monday because I am wearing a tie. I'm joined here with Everest, and some of you astute listeners and watchers might say, Mr. S, we already saw a giant Everest. Well, but have you seen a giant Everest holding a duck? You haven't. So that's new. And welcome back. So I hope you guys had a great weekend. Weather was phenomenal. Hope you guys are running around playing hard, doing something outside. I know I enjoyed it. So, welcome back, and here we go. Taking a look at our reminders for today, we have some changes in the IXL stuff. So, I did highlight them. You will be able to see them when you log into IXL. So, if you do have any questions on those, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer any of those questions that you might have. So, sign into IXL for math and reading. Miss Summerfeld will post the reading. I'll post the math. And you can message me if you want any reviews and have any questions on those. I'd be happy to answer those. Make sure you head up for free lunch and breakfast between the hours of 11 and 1 o'clock. Should be a hot lunch day. It's Monday, so there'll be a hot lunch for you, and you'll get tomorrow's breakfast as well. Message me if you have any questions. You can call me. You can email me. You can send me a message on Dojo. I love hearing from you guys, so let me know what's going on. Or just check in, or if you have a question about anything school related, I'd be happy to answer any of those. Make sure you guys are staying home, staying safe, all those important things. Taking a look at academics for today, make sure you guys are doing Prodigy. Keep hitting that up 15, 20 minutes every day. Just kind of hit up Prodigy. It's kind of fun. I hope you guys are still enjoying it. And look at those, the IXL standards I'll talk about here in a second. Kahoot, I'll post a new one today, and you guys can play a new Kahoot. Challenge somebody. Find somebody else to play against. Make it fun. AR, make sure you guys are reading every day. If you're running out of books, read on Epic. Do something. Make sure you guys are reading. And IXL, like I said, Miss Summerfeld will be posting new ones to work on in IXL for reading. Social studies, remember in Soccer Div, I did post a question for Senator Bewley. I want you guys to give me a question or think of a good question to post her. I'm going to send those questions out to her shortly. So make sure that you guys are logged on to SoccerDiv 292450, right? So that'd be 292450 is my SoccerDiv number. So make sure you guys are getting on there and give me a good question to submit to Senator Bewley, and she will be doing a video for us when after we get those questions compiled and I send them out to her. Make sure you take a look, especially today on Monday, at that specialist classroom. So Miss Lesnar and Mr. Warner and Mr. Buckley will have things for you. So take a look at those links in Dojo. So here's the new standards for math that I talked about, or what we're working on IXL. So letter D, multiplication is just multiply one digit by two-digit numbers. Most of us like to do lattice, so you'll do a lattice box, and it'll be something along those lines. But it'll be a one digit by a two-digit number. You can do it any number of ways, whether it's area method or any of the standard algorithms or partial products. So take a look at those. The other one would be letter P, which is fraction equivalence and ordering. So you'll just be finding equivalent fractions. Take a look at that one. It shouldn't be too bad. Angles, you just have to decide whether it's acute, right, obtuse, or straight. Angles, we've talked about those in class. That shouldn't be too bad, right? So acute, remember, acute angles are small. Right angles are a 90-degree angle. Obtuse are more than a right angle, and a straight angle is just a straight line. So take a look at those. There's two of them in geometric measurement. Again, we've got a perimeter and an area one. So they're going to give you the perimeter. You're going to find the missing side. Remember, the equation for perimeter is just add up all the sides. Whether it's a triangle, whatever it is, you're just going to add all sides. So if it's a rectangle, it's going to be P is equal to length plus width plus width. If it's a triangle, you just add up all the sides. Whatever it is, you just add up all the sides. Area, you're going to have a word problem, so you have to find the area. City of Ember is the story that we're reading. Getting into some really interesting stuff. We've got Lena here, and she's got her paper. Dune and his pipe wrench. We're going to get them together now, hopefully, and they are going to try to solve and save the city. Here's the map of the city again. I just show this every day, but it's good to know. Right, here's Lena's house, here's Doohan's house, here's that river that flows under there, and here's the center where the clock tower is and the square where everything goes on. So those are important to know. And I had this on last time too. This is that mysterious letter that she found, that Lena found in the box that Poppy had eaten up. But kind of tricky. Hopefully we kind of figure out what maybe these numbers mean. And maybe her and Doohan will be able to figure out exactly what it is and maybe connect some dots here. So we left off, if you remember, Doohan was in the library and he runs into Lena as she comes in. Chapter 9 is the door in the roped off tunnel. If you remember, Doohan had talked about finding a door, but it was too dark to see anything. Lena saw Doohan immediately. He was reaching up to set a book back on its shelf. He saw her too. When he turned around, his dark eyebrows flew up in surprise as she hurried over to him. Your father told me you were here, she said. Doohan, I found something. I wanted to show it to you. To me? Why? I think it's important. It has to do with the pipeworks. Will you come to my house and see it? Now? Doohan asked. Lena nodded. Doohan grabbed his old brown jacket and followed Lena out of the library and across the city to Quillam Square. Granny's shop was closed in the dark when they arrived, so when Lena was surprised when they went upstairs and saw Eveline Murdo sitting in her place at the window. Your grandmother's in her bedroom, Miss Murdo said. She didn't feel well. She asked me to come. Poppy was sitting on the floor banging a spoon on the leg of the chair. Lena introduced Doohan, then led him to the room that she shared with Poppy. She looked around, and Lena felt suddenly self-conscious, seeing her room through his eyes. It was a small room with a lot crammed into it. There were 2 narrow beds, a very small table that fit into the corner, a 4-legged stool to sit on. On the wall, clothes hung on hooks, and more clothes were strewn untidily on the floor. Beneath the window was a brown stain made by the bean seed on her pot on the windowsill. Lena had been watering it every night because she promised Clary she would, but it was still nothing but dirt, flat and unpromising. A couple of shelves beside the window held Lena's important possessions. The pieces of paper she'd collected for drawings, her pencils, a scarf, a silver thread woven on it. On the parts of the wall that had no hooks and no shelves, she had pinned up some of her pictures. What are those? Doohan asked. They're from my imagination, Lena said, feeling slightly embarrassed. They're pictures of another city. Oh, you made it up? Sort of. Sometimes I dream of it. I draw too, said Doohan, but I draw other kinds of things. Like what? Mostly insects, said Doohan. He told her about his collections of drawings and the worm that he was currently observing. To Lena, this sounded far more interesting than an undiscovered city, but she didn't say so. She led Doohan over to the table. Here's what I want to show you, she said. She lifted the metal box. Before she could reach for the papers underneath, Doohan took the box and started examining it. Where did this come from? He asked. It was in a closet, Lena said. She told her about Granny's wild search and about finding the box with its lid open and Poppy with the paper in her mouth. As she talked, Doohan turned the box over in his hands, opened and closed the lid, and peered at its latch. There's some sort of odd mechanism here, he said. He tapped a small metal compartment in the front of the box. I'd like to see what's inside this. Here's what's inside the box, said Lena, lifting the covered paper from her patchwork of scraps. At least it's what's left of what was in there. Doohan bent over, his hands on either side of the paper. Lena said, It's called Instructions for Egerston, or maybe it's Egrisman, someone's name anyhow. Maybe a mayor or a guard, I just can't tell. The instructions. I told the mayor about it. I thought maybe it was important. I wrote him a note, but he hasn't answered. I don't think he's interested. Doohan said nothing. You don't have to hold your breath, said Lena. I glued the pieces down. Look, she said, pointing. This word must be pipeworks, and this one river. But look at this one. Door? Dune didn't answer. His hair had fallen forward, so Lena couldn't see his expression on his face. I thought at first, Lena went on, that it must be instructions for how to do something, how to fix the electricity maybe. But when I thought, what if it's instructions for going to another place? Dune said nothing, so Lena went on. I mean, some place that isn't here, like another city. I think these instructions say go down to the pipeworks and look for a door. Dune brushed the hair back on his face. He didn't straighten up. He gazed at the broken words and frowned. Edge, he murmured. Small steel pan. What would that mean? A frying pan? Said Lena. But I don't know why there'd be a frying pan in the pipeworks. But Dune didn't answer. He seemed to be talking to himself. He kept reading, moving a finger along the lines of the words. Open, he whispered. Follow. Finally, he turned to look at Lena. I think you're right, he said. I think this is important. Oh, I was sure you'd think so, Lena cried. She was relieved that her words poured out in a rush. Because you take things seriously. You told the truth to the mayor on assignment day. I didn't want to believe it, but then came the long blackout, and I knew things were as bad as you said. She stopped breathless. She pointed to the word in the document. This door, she said. It has to be a door that leads out of Ember. I don't know, said Dune. Maybe. Or a door that leads to something important, even if it isn't that. But it must be that. What else could it be important enough to lock up in a fancy box? Well, I suppose it could be a storage room with some special tools in it or something. A look of surprise came over his face. Actually, I saw a door where I didn't expect to see one, out in Tunnel 351. It was locked. I thought it was an odd old supply closet. I wonder if that could be it. It must be, cried Lena. Her heart sped up. I wasn't anywhere near a river, Dune said doubtfully. That doesn't matter, Lena said. The river goes through the pipeworks. That's all. It's probably something like go down by the river and then go this way and that way. Maybe, said Dune. It must be, Lena cried. I know it is. It's the door that leads out of Ember. I don't know if that makes sense, said Dune. A door in the pipeworks could only lead to something underground. And how could it that... Lena had no patience for Dune's reasoning. She wanted to dance around the room. She was so excited. We have to find out, she said. We have to find out right away. Dune looked startled. Well, I can go try the door again, he said, but it was locked before. But I suppose I want to go too, said Lena. You want to go into the pipeworks? Yes. Can you get me in? Dune thought for a moment. I think I can. If you come with me just at quitting time and wait outside the door, I'll stay out of sight until everyone's gone, and then I'll let you in. Tomorrow? Okay, tomorrow. Lena stopped at home the next day only long enough to change out of her messenger jacket, and then she dashed across the town to the pipeworks. Dune met her just outside the door, and she followed him inside, where he handed her a slicker and a boots to put on. They descended into the long stone stairway. And when they came out into the main tunnel, Lena stood staring at the river. I didn't know the river was so big, she said, after she found her voice. Yes, said Dune. Every few years, they say someone falls in. If you fall in, there's no hope of fishing you out. The river swallows you up and sweeps you away. Lena shivered. It was cold down there. It was cold down here, a cold that she felt all the way through. Cold flesh, cold blood, cold bones. Dune led her up the path beside the water. After a while, they came to an opening in the wall. They turned into it, and they left the river behind. Dune led the way through the winding tunnels. Their rubber boots splashed in pools of water on the floor. Lena thought how awful it would be to work down here all day, every day. It was a creepy place. A place where it seemed that people didn't belong. That black river, it was like something out of a bad dream. You have to duck here, said Dune. They had come to a roped-off tunnel. But there's no light there, Lena said. No, said Dune. We have to feel our way. It isn't far. He ducked under the rope and went in, and Lena did the same. They stepped forward into the dark, and Lena kept her hand against the damp wall and placed her feet carefully. "It's right here," said Dune, and he stopped within a few feet ahead of Lena. She came up behind him. "Put your hands out," he said. "You'll feel it." Lena felt a smooth, hard surface. There was no round metal knob, and below the knob a keyhole. It seemed an ordinary door, not at all like the entrance to a new world. But that's what made things so exciting. Nothing was ever how you expected it to be. "Let's try it," she whispered. Dune took hold of the knob and twisted. "Locked," he said. "Is there a pan anywhere?" "A pan?" The instructions said small steel pan. Maybe that would have the key in it. They felt around, but there was nothing, just the rocky walls. They patted the doors, and they put their ears to the door, and they jiggled the knob, and they pulled it, and they pushed it. Finally, Dune said, "Well, we can't get in. I guess we better go." And that was when they heard a noise. It was a scuffling, scraping noise that seemed to be coming from somewhere nearby. Lena stopped breathing. She clutched Dune's arm. "Quick," Dune whispered. He made his way back towards the lighted tunnel, with Lena following. They ducked under the rope and rounded a turn, then stopped, stood still, and listened. A harsh scraping sound, a thud, a pause, and then a sound of impact. A short, explosive breath, and a muttered word in gruff, low voice. Then low, slow footsteps getting closer. They flattened themselves against the wall and stood motionless. The footsteps stopped briefly, and then there was another grunt. Then the steps continued, but they seemed to be fading. In a moment from the distance there was another sound. The chink of a key turning a lock, and then a click of the latch opening. Lena made an astonished face at Dune. Someone had gone down the rope tunnel and opened the door. She put her mouth close to Dune's ear. "Shall we try to see who it is?" she whispered. Dune shook his head. "I don't think we should," he said. "We should go. We could just peek around the corner." It was too tempting not to try. They crept forward into the place where the tunnel turned. From there they could see the entrance to the rope tunnel. Holding their breath, they watched. In a minute they heard a thump and a click, and the door closing. The lock turning, and the footsteps once again, this time quick. A long leg stepped over the rope, and the person it belonged to turned and walked away. All they saw was his back, a dark coat, dark untidy hair. He walked with a lurching motion that struck Lena as somehow familiar. In a few seconds, he had vanished into the shadows. When they came up out of the pipeworks, they stripped off their boots and slickers and hurried out to Plumber Square, where they flopped down on a bench and burst into furious talk. "Someone got there before us," said Lena. Dune said he was walking slowly when he went in, as if he was looking for something, and then he walked fast when he came out, as if he found something. What was it? I can't stand not to know. Dune jumped up. He paced back and forth in front of the bench. "But how did he get at the key?" he asked. "Did he find the instructions like the ones you found? And how did he get into the pipeworks? I don't think he works there." "There's something familiar about the way he walks," said Lena, "but I don't know why." "Well, anyhow, he opened the door, and we can't," said Dune. "And if it does go somewhere, if it does lead out of Ember, he'll be telling the whole city pretty soon. He'll be a hero." Dune sat down again. "If he's found the way out, we'll be glad, of course," he said glumly. "It doesn't matter who finds it as long as it helps the city." "That's right," Lena said. "It's just that I thought we were going to find it," said Dune. "Yes," Lena said, thinking how grand it would be to stand before all of Ember announcing their discovery. They sat down without talking for a while, lost in their own thoughts. A man pulling a cart full of wood scraps went by. A woman leaned from the lighted window on Gappery Street and called out to some of the boys playing in the square below. A couple of guards in their red and brown uniforms ambled across the square laughing. The town clock rang out 6 deep booms that Lena could feel, like shudders beneath her ribs. Dune said, I guess what we I guess what we do now is wait to see if there's an announcement. I guess so, said Lena. Maybe that door is something special after all, said Dune. Maybe it's just an old unused supply closet. But Lena wasn't ready to believe that. Maybe it wasn't the door out of Ember, but maybe it was but it was a mystery nevertheless, a mystery connected, she was sure, to the bigger mystery that they were trying to solve. Chapter 10 will be Blue Sky and Goodbye. So we'll read that one tomorrow. I got a quick video here. This was actually from Halloween time. I think we were watching Charlie Brown Christmas. Or Charlie Brown Halloween. You guys were hanging out with your buddies from Mrs. S's class. So, I hope you guys are enjoying the read aloud. I know I am. Very big mystery. We'll find out what happens. I'm looking forward to kind of unraveling this mystery with you guys. So, I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you guys are looking forward to a good week. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I love hearing from you guys. So, I hope you guys continue working hard. Some of you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Keep up the good work. Keep doing what you're doing. If you have any questions, please let me know. Hope you guys have a great week. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.